But what we do know about the male-dominant family type in patriarchal cultures is that it's a structural element within patriarchal society, and its construction basically helps support the different types of oppressions and dominations within patriarchy, and that includes racism, sexism, not being friendly to LGBTQ plus people or disabled people. Basically, if you don't adhere to what the culture, the patriarchal culture, considers acceptable, then you are part of the oppressed. And the nuclear family helps set this up with its assumption of male superior, female inferior, and children even more inferior than that. And also that sort of assumption that the male owns all of the children and owns the wife. This is another part of the nuclear family that isn't really a very healthy one. The other interesting thing is most of the research we found on prehistoric peoples does not indicate any kind of nuclear family structure. It tends to reflect more what I think you could call a troop family structure, kind of like the bonobos have. Now, you have to take this with a grain of salt because we don't know exactly why things happen the way they happen. Like, for example, there was the grave of a Neanderthal who was found, and several flowers were found in there. And so what you find yourself wondering is, why are the flowers in there? And it could be a variety of reasons. It could be because the flowers fell in because the person died during springtime, or it could be that somebody that was wandering by and had a handful of flowers looked in and flowers fell in, or it could be for reasons of love. This person loved this type of flower, I shall put some in the grave with them. It could be for spiritual reasons. Flowers fade and die, and like the flower fades and dies and then grows again, so too will this person that I have lost, who has died, will also rise again in my family line, or something like that. We don't know. It's a fascinating question. I wish we could ask them. I wish we could talk to them. But that's the way things stand right now. So we believe we are correctly interpreting the remains that we found. We think that it means that it was more troop structure of families, but we don't know for sure. And the reason that I say this very specifically is that we frequently will find out things that we didn't know before, and it will change how we view an entire swath of history because of this information. I can give two very simple examples. One I wrote my thesis on, in fact. It was the assumption, I wrote my thesis on the Sarmatians, the Scythians, basically the Central Asian equestrian nomads. And for a long time, everybody that was digging up these graves, and this is before there were many women in anthropology, for a long time, the men that were digging up these graves basically had a very simple, what's a good way to put it? Very simple cutoff point. If there were weapons in the grave, it was clearly a man's grave. And this worked great for them until somebody sent the skeleton from one of the men's graves in for analysis, and the report that came back was particularly entertaining to me, at least, in that when the researcher said, when the archaeologist said, "Okay, so what can you tell me about this guy?" The person who had done the examination on the bones said, "Well, he had a baby." And that was one of the first turning points where they realized just because there are weapons in a grave, and we would assume that that means it would be a man because we don't think women should fight because of our cultural assumptions. Just because we have those cultural assumptions doesn't mean that other cultures do as well. And so a time may come when we learn more or we find something else that sheds new light on it. And then we'll have to change what we think, what these grave goods are telling us. But it will be great because we will have learned new things, and it will upgrade our information and make us understand the world better. And that kind of thing I find very exciting. So I think that's a good thing. To be fair, one of the reasons that we do think we understand how these prehistoric families were set up is because there apparently are still Stone Age cultures in the world today where the mother, the matriline, is the central organizing force within the culture itself, or the tribe or clan. So that's really interesting too. So to jump back to the primates, I have a quote from Jane Goodall. She's one of my heroes. I'm really sorry that she just died recently. But she was writing about chimpanzees, and here's what she said, which I think is really interesting. A chimpanzee family consists of only a mother and her children. After the mating, the father has no further part in the child's development. Indeed, neither we, the observers, nor the chimpanzees normally have any idea who the father is. So that shows that the supposedly natural male-dominant family does not actually exist in our closest relatives in the natural world. And it doesn't exist in all human families because there are many different types of families. If there's one thing humans are really, really good at, it's an incredible diversity of family types, which I find that thrillingly exciting. I want to learn as much as I can about it. So that's really cool. The most closely related great apes to us are the bonobos. And let's see, where is it? Oh, what's really interesting about them is that in some ways, I think if we behaved a little bit more like them, we would have a healthier society. And I think that's really cool. Now, I do not mean in the sense of that we should drop everything and go rooting, hunter-gatherer style again through the world. But for example, they are non-hierarchical and free-ranging, with widespread food sharing and low rates of aggression. Their sex differences are most obviously expressed not physically, but rather socially via close bonding of adult males with their mothers and not with other males, and strong relationships that develop between unrelated females, which leads to a low level of agonistic and intimidation behavior of males and more elaborate sexual behavior. And what they're saying there is that the males are less aggressive. Having the male be more closely related to their matriline, is that the right word? No. Having the male remain closely integrated with the matriline means that's who the male identifies with, his mother. And what that means is that he doesn't have to effectively set himself up and prove himself to be dominant. He already is in a family that he knows loves him, that he knows will take care of him, that he can help take care of. He's in a community that supports him as much as he supports it. I really like, by the way, there's a lesbian feminist poet and essayist, Adrienne Rich, and she wrote an interesting comment, which let me rephrase that. Adrienne Rich is well worth reading. She's fascinating. And I happen to quote this one because I particularly like it. She writes, "The mother-child relationship is the most essential human relationship. The foundation of patriarchal families is a violent attack on this fundamental human union." And again, this is where I think if we hadn't veered off so far from the bonobos, I think we would be a healthier society. It's striking to me because in some ways, the egalitarian matriarchal societies, the matrifocally focused families, don't effectively shove their males out the nest. And those men tend to be better adjusted. They don't seem to feel the need to attack each other to prove their sense of worth, and they don't seem to consider other people their property. And I think this is a very healthy attitude. I'm going to pause there because my throat is getting sore. So I hope that was interesting. I hope you had a good time. I will talk more about it. What's next? I don't remember what's next, but if you had a good time, I hope you enjoyed yourself. I know I enjoy myself. I find this kind of thing very exciting to learn about and to research. And if you're bored, look it up yourself. It's a lot of fun to read about. I really enjoy it. So I hope you have a moment to push the like button if you'd like to. If there's something you want to hear more about, please comment to me. And if you feel like subscribing, awesome. I would love that. So take care. I hope you're having a great day. Bye-bye.